The Premier League season starts in just 1 month's time, and our star player is wanted by Man City. A Man City team we play on the first day of the year. Are we going to be able to keep hold of Roger Rojas? Are we going to be able to strengthen the team further? Let's run the intro. Let's get straight into things. Yes, folks, how is it going? Welcome back to Park to Prem. Today is episode number 80. I hope you guys are doing amazing. And today, well, you know what's coming up. It's a transfer special. I've made you wait all weekend. The wait is officially over. Last episode, of course, we signed Addons, a player who has got a mixed reception from you guys down in the comments section. But fundamentally, he is a good young goalkeeper, viewed to have a lot of potential to be a leading Premier League goalkeeper. Apparently, he's already a good Premier League keeper. I'm going to hope he's an upgrade on our previous goalkeeper in Schumacher, mostly because I've spent £35 million on him. Of course, he is the big transfer of the window so far, but we do still have a transfer budget of £30 million. The wage budget we are at risk of going over, mostly because, as you saw, if you watched all the way through to the end of last episode, I have offered Rojas a new contract. I'm hoping he's going to take the deal and it's going to be a bit of a sweetener, and then we're not going to lose him. Because of all the players of ours attracting interest, this is the one man I don't want to lose. Speaking of players I do want to lose, Ballardo, I would love to sell to someone. We've got a bid here of £5 million for him. That's just not a good enough offer, is it? Let's be frank. And elsewhere, Shen Fusai, more loan offers. Yeah, last episode, this guy was getting a lot of loan offers. I've never seen a man in such demand in League 1 and League 2. But yeah, the people want to see him down in the lower leagues of England. Ballardo upset I didn't let him move. What are you crying about, mate? The offer that they offered was not good enough. They offered me £5 million. He's now come here and saying 40 million. 40. I love this game. Yeah, I reject a bit of 5 million. He says, I'm not happy. I say, how much do you want to be sold for? 40 million. We're never going to get that much bid for him, are we? We experienced this a little bit last episode, but there are a few players in our team. I'm looking at the likes of Ballardo, kind of Wesley Gomez as good examples of this. I suppose Kurland as well. 3 players who have very, very high valuations, but when I've actually offered them out, the bids we've got have been nowhere near these kind of guide prices. In truth, we've been fortunate to get over £10 million for them. On Friday, you might remember as well, I was quite keen to move on some players. Currently, the only man we are selling permanently is Indoor. Waiting on Wolverhampton Wanderers to confirm this transfer. £10 million for this guy would be nice. I could do with making a few more sales like this one. In some other news, by the way, Almsbocken has signed a new contract. The 20-year-old good player who was running into the last year of his contract. I didn't want to risk losing him for nothing, so he has now signed a new deal for the next 4 years. 20 years old, a player who looks really good when it comes to his current ability and the fact he's got perfectionist personality. We signed him for £1 million. He struggled in the Championship last year. Honestly, I don't really see a way that he gets into our first team, but if we could get some good money for him, that would be quite nice. Now, a few people in recent episodes have asked about Ian Williamson, our assistant manager. The 24-year-old, he failed as a footballer in his career at Altrincham. We signed him up to be our assistant. Right now, he won't go on any future coaching courses. I asked the board to let him go on it. They don't think he has enough personal interest. I feel like this is like a bug or a thing in Football Manager, where essentially staff members of certain ages don't want to go on courses, and because of the fact he's 24 years old, he doesn't want to get better, which is a bit annoying because he is our assistant manager. But nevertheless, I'm just going to leave him around here because I like the vibes he brings. Apparently NDIA wants a new contract and is unhappy about it. I mean, how much does he want? Mr. Agent, £49,000 to £60,000 for NDIA. It's a lot of money, but he probably should just be giving it to shut up, I think. I say that. He's got 5 years left on his current deal. You know what? No, he doesn't need a new contract. Of course, in recent years, our wage budget has climbed up and the wages we offer players has climbed up. We've got a couple of players now on £60,000 a week. Of course, we've also got some players that sign long-term deals, the likes of Faye, Ospina, NDIA, who are on long-term deals, but on rather low amounts. They're not very happy about it. I think they've realised they've been scammed. I'm going to hope that their unhappiness doesn't become too much of an issue. Okay, some good news for us. Endor granted a work permit for his move to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Bit of a no-brainer, this one. The 20-year-old has a lot of issues of injuries. He's had a couple of major injuries in the time that we've signed him. There's meant he's missed the best part of 8 months just through 2 injuries. Ultimately, we signed him for 150k. We're flipping him on here for 10 million. Also get 30% of any profit too, which profit's always nice. I realise at the moment I'm not really doing much in the way of transfers saying, we ended last episode looking at younger players. With how full our first team is at the moment, I feel like youngsters for the future just might be the way to go here, if there's any good young players we've got scouted. Jakub Rada here, 20 years old, has 1 cap for the Czech national team. He looks like an okay goalkeeper. I'm scared about the injury proneness, and also he'd probably just be coming in to be a squad player anyway. That said, at 650k to £8 million, it is a little bit tempting. It is a little bit tempting. I shouldn't do it. Injury proneness is just bad, isn't it? I mean, not that we need young goalkeepers, but Christian Rondon here is perhaps the best young player that we've got scouted. 1 cap for the Colombian national team. I'll be honest, he's not the most impressive of players, especially when you compare him alongside Gonzalo Rodriguez, who, of course, we ended last episode waiting on a work permit for. This guy's very, very good. I didn't really talk about it, last episode. He's a bloody giant. 18 jumping reach, 201 centimetres of pure Argentinian beef. I love it. I feel like that was almost seductive, the way in which I was describing him there. Might have gone too far. Gonzalo Garcia has left the building. Our 4th choice goalkeeper, 25 years old, was never really going to play for us. I haven't actually sold him on for a loss. So, arguably a terrible transfer. Then again, he made 4 appearances in 4 years. So, I'm not sure we could really expect to get a great deal for him. João Victor. Unhappy. Another player, unhappy. This guy has a 5-year contract. He's on £5,000 a week. How much does he want? You know, like, he's unhappy at the moment. How much do I realistically have to give him for him to stop crying? I'm not sure he even is a regular starter. Also, I'm offering him a contract that kicks in at the end of the current season. He wants £30,000. It's actually quite reasonable, isn't it? It is actually quite reasonable. I mean, he's already on a long-term deal, but if I can get him, say, for $25,000 on a deal that kicks in at the end of the year and lasts 5 years, then I'll be happy. Okay, well, never mind. I was penny pinching because I don't really need to sign him on a new deal. He's turned down the deal that he's on. So now he gets to enjoy £5,000 for the next 5 years. He can't tell me I didn't try to be nice to him. I think he wanted £30,000 a week on a 4-year deal. I offered him $29,500 on a 5-year deal. Apparently that was where I made an error. Roger Ospina is unhappy about his contract situation. There is some interest in Ospina. I'm going to be a bit cheeky here. I'm going to just offer him out for an unspecified amount. I feel like Ospina is a good striker, but as we saw last year, he was rather inconsistent at moments. And if we are pivoting to a 1-striker system predominantly, he is going to be on the bench that little bit more this coming year. He is a good striker, but he's not a great striker. All I'm going to say is when you compare him against Roger Rojas, these 2 players were very similar to one another once upon a time. Roger Rojas has continued to get better and better. Ospina hasn't really changed since we signed him. Apparently he's going to want between £55,000 and £66,000 a week. He's still got 5 years left on his current deal. Kind of tempted to see if someone might make a bid for him. I noticed Leicester are interested. Just as a reminder, Leicester have a tycoon owner, so surely they can just spend the big bucks here, even if it says they need to generate funds. They must have money. Haha, okay, interesting transfer this one. Al Nassr of Saudi Arabia have made a bid for Alvarez. Alvarez, of course, has already played in Saudi Arabia once upon a time. We signed him on a free transfer. He actually is telling me here he wants to go. Well, I suppose he wants to just secure the bag. They've offered me $5 million up front. I'll tell you what, Alvarez, you weren't going to make the bench, I don't think, this year. If they bid $7 million, they can have you. £7 million for him? I think that's fine. Don't get me wrong, Alvarez has been a good player for us, but I look at his physical development in the last few years. He has really started to drop off as a player, and on top of that, he has got this big history of injuries, of which he's had a few during his time with us. I feel like he's 1 injury away from being just a problem player who's on a bit too much money, taking up a spot in the squad, and I get annoyed by. So $7 million's good. Elsewhere as well, Gonzalo Rodriguez confirmed to be joining us. £13.25 million for this guy. I'm not sure if he's going to be our starting centre-back or not, but he is going to be competing for that spot. Could certainly also do a job as a defensive midfielder too. Really, really good player, this guy. According to our staff, he could improve significantly in the future. That always bodes well. He definitely needs to improve his quickness, however. He's not the fastest boy in the world. To be honest, I didn't think I was going to sign Rodriguez at centre-back. Of course, we sold Gasperi and also Jedinak, our 2 backup centre-backs of last year, and I thought, well, I'll sell those 2 players and replace them with Ashley Phillips, kind of a 2-for-1, because I felt like we had a bit too much depth at centre-back. But with Phillips out injured to start the year, and also just how good Rodriguez is, I feel like I have to sign him. Do you ever have that where there's just a player you have to sign? Obviously, it's not disastrous, the amount of centre-backs we have now. I would argue we probably have too many, but actually, when you look at the team to start the year, This is now just a really, really good team. I know Pietro's got grey stars. He's learning to play left attacking mid. Once he's learned this, I mean, I'm going to look at this team and feel pretty bloody happy. You might remember last year as well, Thorns played centre-back and we had, obviously, João Victor play defensive midfielder. My plan was to move Thorns into the defensive mid position, but now we have Rodriguez. I could arguably move Thorns back in at centre-back and play Rodriguez at defensive mid. Would that make more sense? I feel like when you look at the general ability of the players, Thorns just has some really good stamina, really good strength and really good work rate. He's a little bit more mobile as well, which I think is more useful at defensive midfielder. Whereas actually, as a ball-playing centre-back, I think Rodriguez probably has the edge here, especially when it comes to technicals and just the superior jumping reach. I mean, the nice thing is with our defensive setup now is we've got kind of lots of different configurations. It's a Rubik's Cube. We can shuffle things as needed. And to be honest, whilst I've got rid of 2 centre-backs and signed 2 new ones when I probably only needed to sign 1 new one, this year we are in European football. The fixtures are going to be coming thick and fast, so rotation is going to be nice. I do feel like for the last 2 minutes there, I went on a waffly tangent where I just talk, but I hope it made sense. I hope you could follow along at home. I like to think you're here for the waffly tangents, so it's fine. Really, that is how my YouTube channel should be described, waffly tangents. I might have to trademark that. I have just had to jig some more transfer budget into wage budget. I am conscious now of the fact that the wage spend at the club is slowly creeping up. It's going to mean that unlike the last few years where we were making money kind of from Premier League TV money, you're kind of going to see the graph flatline a little bit more. But to be honest, with where we're at, I don't necessarily feel like that's a problem. We've got this good young squad that's going to get better and better. If I had a primary concern right now, it'd probably be that it's been a bit difficult to shift on some of the players I was hoping we would be able to sell. I'm not sure if that's just due to players like Bilardo not playing enough first-team football. Maybe it's to do with their asking price, or maybe it's a combination of those things, and also the fact that our team reputation's just a little on the lower side. I feel like if you're a big, sexy team like PSG, lower league teams within your own division, they want your scraps, they want your backups, whereas when you've got 3-star reputation, everyone just assumes your backups are bad even if they're good. I think it's quite telling of our reputation that when you sort by players who are transfer listed by value, all the players who really pop up here are players from Brighton and Luton who were relegated, at least predominantly. We just lack the appeal to be able to drag players in from the likes of even Schalke, Tottenham, Everton, West Ham, even Crystal Palace's transfer listed players have no interest in joining me. Should I feel offended? Maybe slightly. Actually, to be fair, I didn't have it on doubtful. If I put it on doubtful, is there more players? Okay, maybe there's a few more now. Having looked through all these players transfer listed, I am thoroughly whelmed. The only player who maybe jumped out at me was Hato here, but in spite of how good he is also super injury prone. It looks like he could be a decent little player. Don't need centre-backs, don't need left-backs. I need to stop buying them. You might remember last episode I was looking to get Jaeger to go to Carlisle. Didn't want to go to Carlisle. But QPR, who he was on loan at last year, did make an offer for him, so he can enjoy life down in London again. Really, I should be selling on Jaeger at some point, shouldn't I? But no one wanted to buy him this year. NDIA is unhappy and it's causing issues. Oh, God. What do I do? What do I do? I think my stance is for the good of the team. Okay, trust it to be Faye and Ospina also want wage rises who are unhappy. Let's just leave it here. If they cry, they cry. I say that, these 3 guys, the leaders in the dressing room, probably shouldn't be having them cry. Santhé did want a new contract. Look, I'll offer you a new contract that kicks in at the end of the year. He wants £77,000. He's currently on £9,000. He also wants a match highest earner clause and a minimum release clause. Sam, mate, I can offer you 75k. That is what I'm offering Rojas. That is a fair deal. He wants 96,000. 96,000! Sam, you are really upsetting me. I'll give you 80. He's asked for 100. He's asked for 100. Right, Sam, 85k. He wants 100. He wants 100! I mean, ultimately, he's on a deal for the next 4 years and 11 months. This contract would only kick in at the end of the current season. I'll offer him 90k, give his agent a bit more money. I'm not offering more than this. If he kicks off a fuss and he's unhappy about this, tough crap. I didn't swear, I was a good boy. I might swear internally now. He's turned down that offer. On the one hand, it's not exactly a do-or-die negotiation, this one, in the sense that, well, he's still here for the next 5 years, and I'm sure there'll be a chance to renew the contract down the line. But nevertheless, it is a bit annoying when some of the leaders in the dressing room are unhappy, and especially when you've got a list of players like this who will want new deals. Offers made for Roger Ospina. Roger. I mean, he's valued at 43 to 56 million pounds. The best offer I've got here is from Frankfurt, but it is not quite as much money as I was hoping for. I want 60 million pounds. I'll take 30 million pounds and 30 million in 6 months. How do you like that? They didn't like it. And on the flip side, Real Betis have just offered 24 million pounds, as if there's a chance I would accept that. They've now locked in 26 million pounds. They don't understand how negotiations work. Similar to the other players who are unhappy, Ospina here has got a super long-term deal. He isn't a player who I necessarily want to sell. If someone came in and offered 60 million pounds, though, for a player who's probably on the bench this year, obviously, it becomes quite hard to say no. That hasn't happened yet. Dekanovic, by the way, renewed his contract, didn't get given a work permit, but I have been able to allocate him an ESC slot. So, yeah, I think he's now got an ESC slot, although it does still say here, work permit. Maybe it'll be fine tomorrow. Elsewhere as well, Alvarez leaving the club, £7 million for him. Bit of a bittersweet moment, probably could have kept him around, but £7 million for a 33-year-old who is really showing signs of regression. It's kind of hard to say no. Well, at least I don't have to worry about his new contract now. Sanfei, broken toe, out for probably around 2 months. A little bit annoying. Yeah, a little bit annoying. But to be fair, he did play a role in a massive cup semi-final win in the Friendly Cup. And as a result of that, we get to take on Mallorca in the final. I was going to say away from home, but actually it's played at a neutral venue, wherever this venue is. Oh, wait, no, this is Mallorca Stadium. Okay, well, we are actually going to Mallorca. The players have earned that. Hopefully they don't party too hard. This was some news I was desperately hoping for. Roger Rojas commits his future to the club. New 5-year deal signed. A 5-year deal that only kicks in at the end of the current season as well. So essentially contracted for the next, 6 years? Gonna hope that fends off some of the interest being shown in him from elsewhere. Yeah, really good to have him committed to a long-term deal. It's on £75,000 a week. It's not cheap. But yeah, he's worth it, isn't he? He is actually just an elite level player. Meanwhile, in the Bilardo saga, of course, I told him I'd sell him for 37 million. I offered him out for an unspecified amount. No one wants to bid above 7 million, which is annoying. Champions of the Friendly Cup. You'll never sing that. Yeah, we've won the Friendly Cup. Massive win. 5-2. You love to see it. Admittedly, we have just beaten a team in the second division of Spain to win that competition, but don't let that distract you from anything. You might remember we were looking at Konoseki last episode. He has just signed for Napoli on £110,000 a week. So, kind of confirmation there that even if we had gone in for him, probably wouldn't have been able to sign him anyway. You might remember as well, 2 minutes ago, I allocated an ESC slot to Dekanovic. Apparently he still doesn't have a work permit. I didn't even think ESC slots were a thing in the Premier League, so I was confused that I could offer him one. Yeah, he doesn't have a work permit. So what do I do with him? I mean, it is certainly less than ideal, because he is our third choice goalkeeper. I'm thinking now, who would be the next choice goalkeeper to bring in? I guess Finn Brundle would be our third choice goalkeeper. Just as a reminder, we signed this guy in the National League on a free transfer. He's played 1 game ever for us. He spent the last however long in the gulag with the under-21s. Yeah, he's not amazing. To be honest, a more sensible option would probably just be to promote Callum Platt. This guy came for our youth intake, was out on loan last year and didn't play for Horsham. Shocking behaviour by them not to give him any game time. Not really good enough for the Premier League, but at least he is homegrown at club, and, well, he can be a third-choice goalkeeper. How often do you need your third-choice goalkeeper? I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't really want to sell Dekanovic either, but if he doesn't have a work permit, that is going to be a problem, isn't it? I feel like the logical thing to do here is just loan him out and hope that maybe I can appeal it in a year's time and he gets given the work permit. It's weird. Going into this summer transfer window, I didn't feel like there was that many positions to address, truthfully. I feel like when you finish 6th place like we have, and you've got a young squad like we have, really, you're looking to have maybe a little bit more depth, maybe a couple of areas where you feel like you've not got the rotation options there. We know that this year, with more competitions than ever, scheduling is going to be a thing that we have to contend with. But due to the fact there's not really been any bids on our players that have been worth seriously considering, there's not been a need to kind of turn over players for the sake of it. I mean, yes, we've done a lot of transfers out. We've made £36 million, to be fair. But when you actually look at the significance of the players leaving the club, well, with respect to them, they're not that significant. I suppose if there's one position for concern, it could be left attacking mid. At the moment, David Sinkule is an option we could play out on the left-hand side. The 19-year-old, not the quickest player to play as an inside forward. Of course, my plan for this position is to play Pelagata there, who I feel like once he picks up the position will be pretty good. I suppose that is maybe the only area of the team where I'm sat thinking, should I get someone in? I mean, over on the right-hand side, Rojas could play there, Misiak could play there, Faye is the man I expect to start there, Pelagata could play there too, and then Mosquera, who of course is our right back, he could definitely play out on the right-hand side. If he was to play there, I probably wouldn't play him as an inside forward, although actually when you look at it, probably could play as an inside forward. I'd probably be more likely to play him as a winger. But yeah, just maybe lacking a little bit of depth at left attacking mid. Everywhere else, I'm looking through the rest of the positions and I feel like the depth is just kind of sufficient. I mean, let's look at things here. We have got £30 million, some excess wage budget. What left attacking mid options are there out there? Is there some player that would be a mad upgrade? In terms of star ratings, Rivera here is apparently the best. Who is providing the scout reports on players like this guy and giving him this kind of score? Also, this scout report is a year old. Whoever gave me this report is an imbecile. That's all I have to say. Have just had a look through some options. Noosa here, I know he's really good in Football Manager, and to be fair, he's quite good in real life as well. He can play on the left and right-hand side. There's this kind of sea of options here. I've had a little bit of a look through them all. He is definitely the standout man. His value is a little on the higher side, however. His agent reckons he'll cost us £36 to £45 million. The issue here is the wage expectations. 135k to 175k. I was hoping I might pick up another one of Club Bruges' players. Of course, already this window we picked up Haddad from Bruges. Noosa's not as reasonable, though, when it comes to the wage demands at the very least. I'm just having a look at some slightly younger options who can play out in the wider areas. Of course, we're looking for players who are really kind of more naturally inside forwards. Someone like Ben Williams here would be great. His asking price is far too high. Kadir here is an interesting option. Egyptian player, plays for Sunderland at the moment. Was out on loan last year at Saint Etienne, but didn't do very well. And I'm looking at his past seasons in the Premier League. Not that exciting. Mattia here, who plays for Wolves, is not a bad option. Transfer listed, I think, by request. Certainly got a value set here of 30 million. I guess it might just be a release clause or something. He is a good player, but he's not the quickest inside forward in the world. And to be honest, when I compare him with Sinkule, I feel like he's not going to be like a world of difference. I mean, okay, maybe that's an unfair comparison. He's definitely better than Sinkule, but considering the Czech player is 19 years old, I just don't think Matty is worth splurging 30 million on. If I wanted to go for a very different option, Sebastian Areco here is an interesting player. It's 5.6 to £7 million valuation. He's only just turned 20. He's definitely raw and he definitely wouldn't be the best option out there in terms of current ability. But I am keen to see what the scouts think. Obviously, we've already signed a new Argentinian centre-back. Maybe a wide attacking player is another order of the day. Definitely could do a job as an inside forward too. Great athleticism, really good off the ball. Yet to make his professional appearance, kind of debut for Boca. He's decent. And Fornés here, I suppose, is a similar mould of player. Another one of these younger players who can play out in the wide area, but yeah, he's more of a winger type. Normally, when it comes to my recruitment focuses and kind of scout priority list here of players we've currently got scouted, this would be full of players. It's remarkably empty. I'm going to ask them to focus on prioritising the Areco deal here, just to see what he can have to offer. I will just check. How much do they want for him? 5 to 7 million. I'm kind of tempted just to go for it. I suppose this is an example of one of those transfers where I can get the wheels in motion, wait for the scout report to come in, and if I don't like what I see, I'll just pull out and abandon ship. But just based on attributes alone, I feel like he could be a decent little inside forward option down the line. Only turned 20 years old a few months ago. He looks good. Interesting as well that long-term expectations for him, he expects to climb up the playing time. That makes me think he must have some pretty good potential. I don't know if it's just me. There's certain things in Football Manager that I look at and I go, that must mean they're good. One of them is when players expect to have their playing time raised. Another is when you have the big teams like PSG looking at the same youngster as you. You know, you assume that if all the rich teams with a lot of money are eyeing up a player, they must be quite good. Or at least that's the logic I choose to go with. Sebastian here, I really want you on a 5-year deal. I'll give you a bit more money to sign for 5 years. How does that sound? He loves it. These wage demands, by the way, actually very reasonable. So we are waiting on a scout report for him. I will not confirm any kind of deal till I make sure he's actually the real deal. Apparently, pressure is building on me in Ospina drama. Are we calling it drama now? Is it really drama? That feels very dramatic. Still don't really want to offer him a new contract just yet, with him still having 6 years left on his current deal. But if the right transfer offer came in for him, I'd probably accept it. I've just offered him out to clubs. Let's see if we get any nibbles. Also, pressure building on me in the NDIA drama. Leave me alone. He wants to be a star player. Do I just make him a star player to stop him crying? Maybe this is just the solution. I feel like £50,000 for NDIA feels steep, especially as he's more likely to be on the bench this year. But actually, given the fact he's homegrown at club, maybe I should just make him happy. He's still crying here. He really wants £59,000. Don't love it. I think I'm just going to give him it. I feel like getting a few of these unhappy players happy before the start of the year is probably needed, to be honest. And whilst it's a bit annoying to have to give him £59,000 a week, it's not like he's on a tiny deal already. Okay, waiting on a work permit for the Oreco deal. Still also waiting on the scout report. How soon until we get this? Because I need to know how good he is. I like the look of him on paper, but paper has lied to me before. Apparently we find out in 4 days. Was that 4 days? Yeah, 4 days. We'll find out if he's any good. I was just looking to see if there was any fun luxury signings to go for, see if my scouts had spotted anyone new. There's a new man at the top of this list, Diego Rambocus. What a fantastic name this is. I can't tell if he's a real player or not. He generated in 2022-23, so I guess he is real. He's very good. I've never heard of this guy. He looks immense in Football Manager, to be fair. He's trying to force a move away from Feyenoord, but they do want £57 to £69 million for him, which is quite a lot, especially for a centre attacking mid when I don't really need a centre attacking mid. Like I said, luxury signings. Probably don't need luxury this year. I don't know about anyone else. I'm just excited to see if Oreco's any good. Like, my judgment on him is he looks quite good. But then I'm always scared of a player like him that he just might not have very good potential, or his hidden attributes might be quite bad. Brighton have made an offer for 2s. He has no interest in going to them, which doesn't really surprise me. We signed 2s for £5.25 million. I'd be lying if I was to say he's been a mainstay of the team, but he is kind of our emergency backup centre-back. Don't really want to sell him. And I've now been told that Oreco's been granted his work permit and can sign for us. Do we have the scout? We don't have the scout report, right? I'm going to hit delay. Delay that. He looks great, and for the price we're paying, £7 million, it almost feels too good to be true. I don't want to get scammed. Don't mind me, just looking at more young players with potential that we could sign. I've spotted a guy here. I just looked at him and thought I should show you him. Where is he? Mark Anderson here. This guy, 18 years old, Danish. He turned 18 yesterday, so I assume because he's turned 18, he now is interested in moving to us. Release clause of £8 million. He is like the perfect deep line playmaker. Kind of. And he's perfect in the sense that he's really good at passing technique, first touch vision. Ignore all the defensive stuff. He is very good, isn't he? He's very good. I want him. I need him. I have a restriction of 6 foreign under-21 players. If we were to sign Anderson here, that would take us to 2. Of course, if we then sign the man that we're currently waiting on, in Oreco, that would take us to 3. I have this quota of wonder kids to sign. I should be signing some of them. Anderson is very interested in a move. We all liked that. He wants to be a squad player. That's a bit ambitious. He only wants £15,000 a week, which is really, really reasonable. I really like the look of this guy. I feel like £8 million is just an absolute bargain for him. The hope is now that we can sign him before anyone else swoops in. He is just remarkable, isn't he? Resolute personality, lots of standout attributes, definitely needs to improve kind of physically, but my scouts really, really like the look of him. And in fact, they finished the scout report on him 5 days ago. Good job to the scouts. He's indicated he'd be interested in seeing out the remainder of the season with Midtjylland. You know what? He can go back to Midtjylland, I think, for the rest of the year. Give him some regular minutes. Puts a little bit less pressure on me to get him straight into the team this coming year. Because, to be honest, didn't really think I was going to sign another midfielder. But I feel like sometimes you see a player and you just have to have them. Mark is one of those players. Got some scouts reports in for various players I was looking at. Karim Kanata, you might have caught it on an earlier screen. I'd love to sign. Stuttgart were relegated from the Bundesliga, and he's now playing in the Bundesliga too. They want £60 million for him, which it's just a bit too much, isn't it? And another player who I quite like the look of was Diego Gutierrez here. This guy looks immense, doesn't he? 26 years old, playing over in Spain. Really good technicals. The only issue really is his valuation and the fact he doesn't enjoy important matches, and the fact that, to be honest, I don't really need another striker, and I don't play with centre mids. I suppose there's an argument to say you could train him to play in the attacking mid area, but we've got so many good young players there. I don't really want to take away their first team football for someone like this. He reminds me quite a lot of Misiak, actually. He's a bit of a Misiak-like player, and I feel like when you compare the two of them, I need to give the 18-year-old game time. Realise I got totally distracted by the whole reason I was commenting on those scout reports. Areco's comes in tomorrow. For some reason I thought I was going to come in with those other ones. Okay, some good news. I think NDIA signs a new deal. It's £60,000 a week. My biggest issue with this contract, to be honest, isn't the wages. It's the fact I've told him he's going to be a star player when I think he's going to be on the bench this year. I mean, lots of big teams have been interested in him. I hope he's going to have a better year this coming year than he had last year, because he was a tiny bit disappointing, but it is easy to forget. He is 20 years old. Granted, he turns 21 in 3 days' time. Probably should make sure we get him a cake. Tell you what, how anticlimactic is it going to be now if Areco's just bad? I'm going to be fuming. Okay, Scout Report is in. Decent Premier League player, could improve a lot. I mean, it's not 5-star potential. It's not what you dream of. But I feel like it justifies bringing him in to be a bit of a squad player on 7 million. Also has the versatility to play as a striker if needed. He's basically the new Alvarez. You know, we've got rid of one Argentine striker. We've brought in a new one. Okay, I'm going to ask to confirm this transfer. I want to get it done. I feel like he's the best option of all the different left-sided attacking kind of backup inside forwards we've had a look at. And I hope he's not going to be a flop. I feel like this is one of those transfers that might not be the most popular, but I just feel like it's quite sensible. And I'm not usually sensible. Okay, if Anderson joins us as well, that's going to take us to 3 under-21 players. Is there any more players out there? I feel like I've just signed Anderson as like the first person I saw. Really, should probably have a bit of a deeper dive. Looking for players 18 or 19 with some decent potential, who I've not already been made aware of, who I actually think could be quite good. Obviously, Anderson stands out at the top of this list, really, doesn't he? Didn't really think about this, but I can just look at players that we've not got scouted that are just valued highly. Pablo Jr., 19 years old, he's not too shabby. I feel like I should probably just get scout reports on all these players, really, shouldn't I? I know this isn't the most sophisticated in terms of Football Manager guides. Just put age at most 19 or 20 and then hold shift and just select all the guys and scout all of these. Obviously, valuation isn't the be-all or end-all when it comes to player ability, but it is usually a pretty good indicator. Please ignore the fact that 2 seconds ago I completely misclicked my whole shift-clicking thing. Going on about how simple it is, can't even hold shift and click between a range of players. I'm an amateur. I'm realising as I look through these good young players that one annoying factor I still have to kind of consider, at least right now, is the fact that with players I sign from, say, FC Copenhagen, unlike if I was an elite Premier League team where they maybe just want to come in and be hot prospects of the future, a lot of them feel like they can just contribute right away. And so as a result of that, kind of the stuff they ask for is a tiny bit unreasonable at times. I'm realising I could look through this list of players manually, and to be fair, there are some quite good players here. There's a 15-year-old who plays for Fulham who's shown up in the list. There's some quite good players here, but rather than just go through these manually and then guess which might be good on potential, I think the best thing to do now is going to be just wait for scout reports to come in. I can pick, you know, the 1 or 2 of these players I'm going to sign for the year a little later in the pre-season. I say later in the pre-season. The season starts in 2 weeks. Do I feel prepared? Kind of. I'm asking myself, do I feel prepared? I feel like I'm at that point before an exam, you know, where you procrastinate. You know you should be doing some last-minute cramming, but instead, all you're doing is kind of just, I don't know, you're playing video games instead. That's the point I'm at. Looking for young players is the equivalent of playing video games ahead of an exam. You know, I really should be trying to strengthen the first team, but my priorities aren't in order. I feel like when you look at this season, pre-season, it almost feels just a little underwhelming with the ins and outs. But to be fair, given how the last year went, I don't really feel like there's a massive need to go out there and do anything too crazy. I feel like we've added some good young players, some players who can contribute right away. I think the main issue last year, let's be honest, goalkeeper, has been addressed. Is Haddad going to be the perfect player for that? Time will tell. And then I do feel like Gonzalo Rodriguez here, who my staff just still think has some really good potential, is a great centre-back option for us longer term. I feel like defensively we were lacklustre last year, whilst going forward we were good. So that maybe comes down to the system that we played last year with the box midfield, which I am looking to maybe experiment with. It does go without saying, if what you see here doesn't work, we are fortunately in the situation where I can literally just change the team like this, and everyone is now playing natural roles still. I suppose this is the beauty, the versatility we have in the final third. If I had anyone annoyance, it's just the fact that I've not really had that many transfer offers for players. I thought we might be fending off interest more, and whilst of course there is still time for interest to amount in our players, I've not felt like I've had any massive dilemmas to deal with. Tell you what, by the way, I'm just looking at this. We've got our high potential scout search going on. Mateus just stood out to me, as did Suslik, who I've not yet looked at. Suslik, very quick, can jump high. That's kind of all he's good for. But this guy, Mateus, plays for Flamengo, 18 years old. I've just signed a left-sided player, haven't I? Do I sign this guy to play on the right as an inside forward? He's very, very good. I'm looking at the pace. Apparently, he's got a release clause of £15 million. Can I get him for less than that? Potentially, but he might not be interested in a move. I suppose that's why he's not been showing up on any of my lists, because he doesn't actually want to join me. Professional personality wonder kid. I really want him. Probably just set myself up for disappointment here. Mateus, do you want to sign for us, Mateus? I'll give you... It's a lot of money, but to be fair, he's probably worth it. I'll give you 13 million Flamengo. Let me have a look at Mateus. I mean, I already knew this was going to be a thing. I don't know what I was expecting. Yeah, he's turned us down. I mean, I'm going to hope that no one else finds him and maybe he changes his mind over the summer. I would say the summer. It's the summer now. Over the next few months, maybe before the transfer window closes, maybe we go in for this guy in January. He's very, very good, isn't he? Did wonder if he might be listed as Flamengo's hot prospect. Actually, this guy here, Neto, is listed as their key player. This guy's very good as well, but there's absolutely no chance he'd want to join me either, is there? No. If this is the team to start the season, am I happy with it? I think I am. I feel like the big thing actually to resolve now, rather than perhaps signing new players on big wages, is to use the wage budget and finances that I've got left over here to get all the unhappy campers happy again. Because there are a few unhappy campers who aren't happy with their contract situations. I'm looking at Sanfei as an example of this. Maybe I just throw the money at them that they want. For all you squad number aficionados out there, I have actually tried to do an okay job with these. I hope I've done it right. I say that knowing full well I haven't, because I hit auto number. Missiax number 62. You're welcome, those people who care about squad numbers. If you're one of those people, you really hate me right now, and I am sorry. Premier League top goal scorer odds. Erling Haaland is number 1. Where is Roger Rojas? Justice for Roger Rojas. Where is he? He should be on this list. By the way, can you remember Aaron Selick? I talked about this guy when we took on Everton before. I really want to sign this guy. As it was pointed out by one of you guys, it looks like he actually generated as a free agent at the start of the save game, which can happen where players generate with mad potential, clubless. Of course, happened with Shvetsov in a passport to Prem, Matthew Lewis. That's a proper old school one. This guy here, though, he's absolutely amazing. I mean, I know he has no interest in joining me. 77 to 116 million pounds. Is it mad that I think that's actually quite a good deal? It's actually quite a good deal. I wish I could sign him. Sadly, I can't, so I'm just going to complain about the fact that Rojas isn't in this list. Also, I have just got the first loan reports through to start the new season. Obviously, lots of players out on loan. Good news for the Warren fan club out there. He is looking like he's going to get some regular minutes in League One this year. Slightly less good news for Kamara. Subbed off at half-time on his debut. Yeah, not great. They did lose the game 2-1, to be fair. Were they winning when he was subbed off? That's what I care about now. The answer is no. Okay, it was 1-1 at half-time. And they subbed him off at half-time. That feels very cruel. They actually made 3 changes at half-time. Imagine if Brighton don't get promoted at the first time of asking. That would be embarrassing. I do appreciate that today we've had quite a lot of wheeling and dealing, and indeed over the summer transfer window. I feel like with the transfer special episodes being either side of a weekend, you know, it can get a little bit easy to lose track of the team. One thing that you guys loved last season that we did at the start of the season was a little bit of a squad rundown ahead of the first game of the year. We are going to do that next episode. So if anyone is thinking, oh my god, I'm losing a little bit of a track of stuff, especially with a change in system, that's going to be happening, fret not. Of course, when it comes to the team, really, only Rodriguez and Haddad are new signings to the team. The rest of the team is, by and large, that squad that got us 6th last year, just in a slightly new shape. I feel like what would be a lovely way to end the episode now is just to secure the signing of our man, Mark Anderson. Work permit decision 2 days away. Football Manager has a sick sense of humour, doesn't it? NDIA's out for 6 to 7 weeks. Happy new season to me. To be fair, last year, with the exception of maybe December and February, I feel like we got pretty fortunate with injuries. We didn't have that many, at least serious injuries that kept major first-team players out. Definitely think that helped us with performing last year. Kind of glad the board expectations aren't the top 6 finish this year, although mid-table and further stages of the Europa League, not necessarily straightforward. And actually, just speaking of the Europa League, I've not really talked about it much. We enter in at the league phase. So that's why I'm not talking about it. We don't know who we're going to be playing or when yet. Of course, it's the new European format that is rolling out in real life, where you play 8 games. Who those 8 games are going to be against, we don't know. What I do know is some away days await, which is always exciting. And speaking of away days, I did also notice that we have Fulham's second game of the year. I don't think I've done the Craven Cottage away day in a video. I've done it in real life many a time. The away end's quite cute, actually. So I'm looking forward to Fulham away. That should be fun. Suppose at this point, it's a good job that NDIA isn't actually my starting centre-back, isn't it? Like, I thought that Rodriguez was a bit of a luxury signing at centre-back. That actually might have saved me from a massive problem to start the season. And here is the news we were all waiting for. Mark Anderson, transfer confirmed. Been granted a work permit for his move to us. The 18-year-old, I think, could be a really, really good player longer term. Has some really nice mentals, some really nice technicals as well. £8 million, it's not exactly cheap, but we're in a position with our current first team squad where I feel like we can afford some spare pocket change to go out and sign a player like him. I do hate myself for the fact I'm describing £8 million as pocket change, especially when we've only got £6 million in the bank. Yeah, my budgeting is questionable. Anyway, of course, we have signed him. He's going back on loan immediately, but looking at this potential for his future, yeah, I feel like this could end up being a bargain buy, even if it's not the cheapest of young players by any means. Anyway, folks, we do only have a week and a half left of pre-season. There are no transfers going on right now. There are no sales happening either. Like I mentioned earlier, I expected maybe to have a bit more of a one-in, one-out policy with some players getting some transfer offers where we'd need to replace them. It just simply hasn't materialised, which is a little bit weird because in previous years, I've not really had an issue offloading some of the more squad players. But ultimately, you know, with the exception of some interest shown last episode in Bolton, no one in our first team's had monster bids come in for them. There's not really been those dilemmas to deal with. Anyway, that is going to wrap up pre-season as far as I'm concerned. Next time out, Man City, Fulham. We've also got a European draw to happen in the very near future, which I'm quite excited about as well. Season 11 awaits us. I feel remarkably calm and prepared. For those of you who froth at the mouth at transfer dealings and drama and panic and just my general meltdowns, apologies, it hasn't materialised. I feel great. I'll be honest, I feel really, really good. We have spent £67 million today. You'd think I'd spent nothing, wouldn't you? The way I talk about things. It has been a busy summer. And well, tomorrow it is all going to come full circle as we kick off season 11, like I already mentioned. Man City and Fulham await us. Let me know what you think of the transfer dealings down below. Is there any position in the squad that is massively, massively kind of under strength that I'm just completely ignoring? Maybe I'm like the bloke driving the Titanic. There's an iceberg on the horizon. You guys are seeing it, screaming about it right now. I can't hear you. I hope there's no iceberg. Take things easy, have a lovely rest of your Monday, and I'll see you tomorrow for the start of season 11. I'm out.